You can hear me? Very good. Yes. This is the room. Very good. You can make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes. And just recognize this moment. No need to strategize. No need to try. Just look. Just come to recognize this moment as it is. Even if there is trying, you notice trying. Like you're taking a step back. Allowing the expressions of this moment to happen, thoughts. There might be will, longing, whatever it might be. You just notice. Just recognize that it is happening. Stepping out of the loop of becoming. And coming back to the source of the experience, the recognition of this moment. And whatever you experience, you just allow it to unfold. Maybe when the mind feels vast, expansive, just allow that to unfold. Maybe the mind is busy. You just watch. And it's not so much the feeling of you watching. There is just witnessing. This deep being. And in this moment you might recognize the peacefulness of it. The sense of completeness that it brings. the deep sense of acceptance of this moment. And remember that this is always here. When you don't fiddle with the becoming, you come back to this. When you allow this moment to unfold as it unfolds, the mind is at peace. And as you get more comfortable with coming back to this, you notice that your state of mind has nothing to do with circumstances. It has only to do with belief. Deep down, this is your nature. Just staying as this watchfulness, this witness to the experience. And as we talk about it, it sounds like a place to go, something to become, but that is just the limitation of words. It is just pure alertness, pure being, pure recognition. There is, in actuality, no one behind it. And maybe when you stay here, you notice that the mind resists, tries to come up with something. Because the ego wants to prevail. And in this, there is no space to become. There is no space for the ego to thrive. There's only being. It will present its ideas. It will resist. And if you're really attentive, it might even hide. Trying a more subtle approach because of your alertness. ego thrives on the unconscious, on the mechanical, on repetition. And in your alertness, everything is allowed to be new. The moment is always fresh. There's nothing of the stagnancy of the ego. It has nowhere to go. And the ego's discontentment can have many expressions: restlessness, boredom. If that is presented, you just alert. Stay with it. The ego might say that nothing will happen, that you already know this. Just allow it to say its things. Notice how that thought is formed, stays for a while and goes. Showing you once again that without belief, the ego has no power. It can only thrive on your beliefs. You can slowly open your eyes, take your time. If you need to, move your body a little bit. Stretch out your arms and legs. So what is the practice? What is the sadhana? What can it be? Why does it sound like a thing that you do? You recognize that ultimately there might not be a sadhana. This moment is already complete isness, right? But sadhana is needed because of the search. And the search is because of the personal. The idea of the person doing something, going somewhere. Right? And that the idea of that person needs something to feel more complete, to transcend the dual experience, the whole idea of being a someone in a world or going somewhere. And this is the paradox of sadhana. And this is why teachers say strange things. Like, you are your sadhana. What? Because what you're looking for in meditation is already here. You're already that. And then someone who is philosophically inclined will say, but then I don't have to do anything. Or they call it luck. There's not really anything I can do, it's just luck. Some people get a lottery ticket of freedom. Yay! They win the prize. Is that the idea? That's a very cruel universe. It's also a very cruel universe that some people would have access to this in a way that other people don't. But none of these ideas are true. None of those views are true. The access is equal to all. There's not more alertness in you than in someone else. This awareness itself is always there, full accessibility. And what we sometimes refer to as spiritual maturity just means, how aware are you of awareness? What is your acceptance of it? How big and strong is the idea and the belief in your mind that the world is external? And if that is a strong idea in your mind, we refer to that as spiritual immaturity. But it is never that simple. Because for the one who has a lot of challenges and is very externalized, it can from one moment to the next also become very clear that the world is not external. Sometimes all people need seems to be suffering. And they can recognize it very, very quickly. Or a great love for this moment. And they start to recognize, this completeness doesn't come from outside things. It's all happening in me. So what is it that recognizes that? This is strange because the mind becomes paradoxical. Because you can try to meditate, but that is actually not what's happening. It's awareness, longing for awareness. When I heard that the first time, I didn't understand at all what that could mean. It just sounded like some philosophical thing. Okay, it's some kind of paradox or some kind of meta thing. But as you are awareness itself, and the recognition of it is awareness itself, that is the actuality of beingness. Of unidentified beingness is awareness. I don't know if I even could say finding awareness, because it sounds like someone is finding something, but that is also not what's going on. And the sadhana is just coming back to that. It's the remembrance. It sounds strange with remembering, because that sounds like it has to do with time. But this remembering is not about time. It's just remember that you already are. You understand? It's like a memory without time, a remembering but not in time. And it's only because you get lost in the trance of the mind. And this trance, usually when it takes hold, you don't know it. That's why it's so much talk about ignorance in spiritual circles, because that is the ignorance it refers to. That you don't know that it's taken hold of you. That you feel really free when you sit in your meditation, but there is longing for a greater union. That is ignorance. It seemed so pure in the moment. The longing seems so free and big. You just want to be united with the universe, with yourself, with the unification of Atman and Brahman, whatever you want to call it. But the whole idea that someone is going somewhere is not true. That's why also sadhana, in a sense, it is pointless. But you have no choice in the ignorance but to practice it. It sounds so harsh. Because all it will reveal is that it is pointless. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. You understand? You have to try to unite yourself with it. That is the search. That is the sadhana. Singing to Shiva, singing to Krishna, whatever your heart is longing for, and how, and singing to be united. In all your trying to give yourself up, trying to surrender, trying to focus your mind really, so you're just in this alertness, trying to reveal that there is no trier. There is only awareness, longing for awareness. And I don't want you to be discouraged from doing your sadhana through this. I just want to reveal that it's not what you think. And just see what this moment brings. See how you can fully embrace it. What is it that creates distance? How far away from you is the presence of this moment? When you say, I am not there now, how far away from it are you? I'm sure you all have said these kind of things. You're feeling stressed at work or in a situation that is not optimal, and you say, oh, meditation feels like it's so far away. What moments are spiritual? Do you understand this question? Why is coming here a spiritual act? And when you walked here, perhaps it was not. You were irritated on someone not following the traffic, the law correctly or the rules correctly. What is it that makes a moment spiritual? It's just the idea of the context. And you might say, yes, I come and I listen to this and I feel centered again. I feel like coming home again. And then there is a space of a week or two before you go into your mind again. It's all the things. You live your life through situations. And it feels like I have to center myself again. I have to come back. I have to bring spirituality into my life again. But you are that. When you come here and you feel peace of mind, it is not because of this space. It's not because I am transmitting something like that. It comes from you. You are the same. You just in that moment can allow it. And you can mirror yourself in it. You are that stillness. And it's easy to see a situation and you associate with it, and this is what is going on. But what is it that says that I am separate from you? And what you recognize is the stillness of this moment. What you recognize is not something that is given to you like that. It is your inherent nature. And there seem to be like that you have to surrender to it to a point until you realize that it comes from you. And there is a recognition of this mirroring that is just, in actuality, just a mirror looking at another mirror. But as soon as the idea of the person is prevalent, it's like looking in a mirror and seeing yourself. And in that confirmation, it feels all right again. It feels like you're back. But all those conclusions are drawn from the level of the personal. I can lose it, I can get it, I can fill my batteries, I can come back to it. All these ideas is coming from that there is someone who needs something. In actuality, there is just a mirroring, and in that moment, all the other things just goes for a while, and it's very clear. But these beliefs of the idea of your situation, of your life, and what is going on, and what you suffer, and all this, those are the ideas that makes this not shine in you. You have to believe in them, and you have to believe in them again and again and again, for the ego to uphold the idea of the person being in a situation. And maybe you recognize sometimes when you do your sadhana, when you do your practice, that its grip loosens or goes completely. And it goes from a moment of you feeling completely trapped to feeling free. And this is the great thing that the Atma Vichara can do, the spiritual inquiry, to ask the question, who am I? Because of our tendencies to just follow the unconscious mind, we just go in our patterns. And for most people, you're just so used to your patterns. Maybe you've been having them for a long time, since you were a child even, perhaps. And you just go with them, and you see them as normal. And when you're reflected in everyday life of other people, they also talk about their identification as normal. So you get confirmed in that belief, and then it continues. And this is sometimes the scary part when you go into spiritual practice, because it feels like you're not going along with your culture, with society, with your religion, with whatever. It can feel like you're leaving it a bit behind. But all those things are just, like the culture and the religion stuff, are just on the surface. In the depth of everything, it is the same. It doesn't matter. And I get questions sometimes if people say, yes, I come from this and this faith, and is it compatible with non-duality and Vedanta? And of course it is. Every religion comes from a basis of this. I think most of them do, at least. Because there are not, beingness is not the different. in different faiths. They can call it a different thing on the surface. You can call it whatever you like. You can call it a connection with God, or deep meditation, or being very still, or whatever you want to call it. But that the experience of it is not different. And then there are cultural aspects that can be different. But in the depth is always this. So the whole notion of that they believe in a God that is not the real God. That is complete nonsense. And the whole idea of making God super personal and having these judging ideas is also complete nonsense. And I understand that people feel safe in doing those things, and they want a God that is on their side, so they want their God to adapt their views. But that is not godliness to me. It's just beingness itself. It's just happening. And if you're connected to it, things like love and empathy will be very, very natural. Because they are always just blocked by the idea of something. That you are a person doing something in the world. And that you are separate, and that there are others. And people often say things like there is not enough love in the world. There is so much love. It is just coated sometimes by identity on the surface, making something else of it. Everyone is longing for the same freedom. Everyone is longing for a sense of completeness, of a sense of beingness, of the acceptance of this moment, whatever you want to call it. Everyone is longing for some kind of happiness. They just believe that it is found through doing something, or having more resources, or completing something externally. And there's so much effort on all these external things, and so little effort in most people at looking inside. And looking, what we call looking inside, is also just a limitation of language. There is no inside or outside, really. It's just that the world is not external. You are the world. And usually how we refer culturally to exploring that is that we say going inside. But it just means coming to be aware of what is. And what is that there is no outside or inside. The experience just is, and it's just happening, and you just are. And the mind is tricky. The ego says that it has to do a lot of things. Otherwise, my life collapses. But the real question is, what is upholding your life now? Is it the ego? Is it your doing, your sense of doing in every situation, that you are a doer? Is that the upholder of things? It is not. It can never be. But the ego loves saying that. It loves to string you along on this. It loves things to happen in your life, and then it can say, I did that. Look what I did. I created this. I stopped that. That is just the natural happening of things. And the ego wants to take credit for everything that also happens in spirituality, in your sadhana. It says that it goes great or not so great, or I have neglected it, or I've been on fire lately. But all those things are also just happening. The best thing is just to notice this moment. That is the deepest sadhana. To allow this moment to happen as it happens. To not contort yourself into a doer. It's much more like an embrace. And you might be trying to make your mind more quiet. And what makes the mind more quiet? Is it trying to make the mind more quiet? That seems perhaps like the logical thing to do. But the full embrace of the busy mind makes the mind quiet. Because it thrives on one thing, resistance. And your collaboration in the sense of belief. And when you say, I don't like this thought, I like this thought, you are in there playing its game. The mind just happens. And from the point of view of beingness, there are no dangerous thoughts. There are no thoughts that are better than other thoughts. They all just happen. And that inner voice can sometimes say things that are super profound as well, that are really, really true. And it can be difficult to discern if that is the thing or the other. But the non-belief of it always reveals. Because it will come, if that voice is of wisdom, it will come from a place of love. And if you can recognize this flavor, you will start to see through all the things of the egoic mind. Because the ego always operates from fear. And its deepest fear is to not exist. So it thrives on just continuation, on repetition, automatic behavior, on your ignorance and being unconscious. So all the things that are opposite to that, it won't like. The embrace of this moment with gratitude, thankfulness. Sounds very simple, but if you really allow this moment like that, the ego has nowhere to go in that. It's so powerful. And in this beingness, in the moment, there's also a sense it could be experienced like giving up. Something that surrenders. But it's not a someone. It is just surrendering happening. It is part of the residue, the small pieces of identification that is still there, that has to be expressed through that. And I guess that is where our bowing is coming from. The sense of bowing to the universe itself. The sense of bowing to things that we look at as holy. It just puts things into their right place. There is no arrogance in the one who bows. And there can be a lot of trust in bowing. Even if the words come, I don't understand what is going on, you have to show me. You might feel lost, or the world just feels strange. If that trust is there, then you can really bow. One of the most powerful things there is. Because it is in line with what is. It has nothing to do with, I want this. It is what is shown. What the moment itself brings. Any questions today? Yes. Please take the mic.
So I'm noticing as I sit here and often right now that it can feel open and beautiful, and then the mind gets so, and the body gets so agitated.
At the same time?
It can be like back and forth a lot.
Is it restlessness, or what is this agitation feel like?
Maybe like fear of the openness.
Yes.
Just like, oh, I need to grab onto something,
yes.
anything. Yeah.
Feels like it's too spaced out, or is it that kind of...
No, it feels like it's too safe. It's not safe to be so safe somehow.
Okay.
To be open and free is not safe, even though it feels really good in the moment before.
The fear that can come in meditation can be expressed in many ways, and usually in the ways that that triggers us, that works. And you can both create a pocket in meditation that is very safe and that feels really good. And some people just get addicted to that little pocket. Oh, it's free, it gives me energy, I feel good, let's stay here. And in that can be a lot of resistance to going any further in it. Because I found something good, I'm just going to keep this. I don't want this something else now. I have the thing. But always when you feel like you're on the edge of something, it will feel unsafe. It will feel scary. If you're on the edge of your understanding or the edge of your own fear, it will feel unsafe. But I'm not sure if I understood you correctly. Because you say that it feels very safe.
That the beauty and openness, it does feel very safe.
Yes.
But it somehow triggers agitation in the system.
Yeah.
And then there is resistance to the agitation.
Yeah, okay. And then that grows.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And what is aware of all that?
Yeah, so it's just like
yes.
many loops of that. Then I, okay, and then I find it again.
Okay.
And then the agitation comes and takes over. And
yes.
Yeah.
So the ego plays you in a little loop.
Yes.
Yes. And I think what you do...
I'm not... it's not... It's automatic, so it's not possible to stay in the openness.
It just goes because something in this is seen as important. Otherwise, you wouldn't go with it. There's some fear. There's something that draws you in every time in this loop. Otherwise, it would be of no interest to you. I'm just saying the obvious because sometimes that just makes it so clear. And I think just exposing it like you're doing now, just saying it out loud, can change the whole view of it. It's a very good way of asking questions, because it just exposes the behavior. And And sometimes from that point, you're just so aware of it that the old triggers have much more difficulty to go into place. And most people get stuck exactly like that. That it's the most common way to get stuck. To just have a behavior that just goes again and again and again. Until you really, really see what's going on. Or until you lose the interest in that particular fear. So awareness of it will change it always. But sometimes there's also not the trust in that. You think that, but I think I still have to do something. I have to wiggle something. I have to at least parry this thought and go with this thought a little bit. But just being aware of that is going on, this agitation and how it plays, and there will be something that sows the seed of it to continue. You know, I usually talk about that you buy the ride to the ticket. You buy the ticket to the ride, and then you have to go on it. And it sounds like you buy the ticket every time. So you have to go on this little, and it takes its little time. Maybe it's just a few minutes. It sounds like it's quite short. But some of these tickets that we buy can be like, okay, I bought this thing, now I have to live that in 3 days. It goes in a worry loop or something like that. But so if it comes back like that, you have a lot of moments to see, and you say, let's go, and you go into it again, right? And does it often happen while you're here, for example, or when you do your practice?
Yeah, I think so. But I noticed it more the last days with the agitation. Otherwise, maybe I lose presence or whatever you call it. But now it's been more agitation.
So it just gets more crystallized. It gets more clear what is going on. The agitation disturbs you more. Is that it? Yes. And this is also how the probably because you're at this point where you expose this, you're probably already in a greater awareness around it. It's usually already on its way to be that you will have more alertness around that thing, because now you're onto it. So it will probably change, and that also might be why the egoic mind resists a bit more, creates more agitation, because it wants to trigger you. And those kind of things, the ego can get really desperate and really try to force it. So it gets super extreme. But usually that just means that it's completely exposed. It's really just, it's trying to push a button in you. And it usually works, so it pushes once. But as soon as you're aware of the pushing, it might try to spam the trigger that makes it, just to get a reaction from you, or say that it is more important or bigger or something. But usually in that, the ego gets completely exposed.
Sweet in a way. It's almost like I can see it as an entity. It's so desperate. It's
yes.
In panic. Yeah. Running.
Yes. and it's really obvious, it's desperation when it's just, when you see the repetition of it, that it just wants to stay relevant. That's all that it does. It just wants you to give it something. It is really like someone who's really desperate for attention. Just any way. If you resist it or like it, it doesn't matter. But just any reaction is a good. And it's also so obvious when these kind of reactions get externalized by people, we also find, oh, they don't really care if I hate or love them, only if they just want a reaction. That is how the ego operates. So it's same in the external as the internal. And the nice thing with the external sometimes is that you can just observe someone else and see the reflection of that in yourself and understand it completely, especially when it starts to be exposed. Okay. Thank you. Someone else? There is only alertness. There is only this awareness. The ego doesn't really get exposed to anyone. It just gets exposed to awareness itself. You are not the exposer of your ego. And if you are, you have just created another layer of identity. Exposing the ego does not mean that there is that you become an expert of egos. It does not make you into a knower of it. It just shows that it is not real. There is no intellectual part of it. It's just that its unreality gets exposed. And it's so easy to take on the role of the doer, of the meditator, of the one trying, of the one becoming, of the one going for enlightenment, going for freedom, being the one who understands myself better now. The one that refers to themselves in the past and compares them to the now and says, I'm like this now, I used to be like that. None of that is true. You are not in the past, and you are not a person now. There is just awareness and this moment happening. There is no freedom somewhere else. There is no perfect future where your dreams are fulfilled. Or where you're enlightened. It sounds harsh to the ego. But as soon as you go into that idea, it becomes something in time. It becomes a progressive thing. It becomes something that is there. Why is the gratitude in this moment not enough? The love. Why the need for all this becoming? I heard they had made some studies on people who have they were studying how people experience their happiness. And people who had the lowest expectations of things were the happiest in this study. And the ones who saw themselves as the most ambitious were the most unhappy. And you could feel like when they presented this, that it didn't really, it wasn't nice for them to say that. Because the whole idea of hope with your life getting better, it is difficult to then it's very difficult to be with just in the acceptance of, if you accept this moment as it is, that is what brings you joy. And you can, I'm not saying don't be ambitious. Be as ambitious as you want. Have all your dreams that you want. If you really, really long for things, go play the game. If you think that there is something out there that is really going to complete your life, or if I'm just doing this and this, go for it. If you're not convinced by the just being in this moment with it, then possibly you need that action. And there's nothing wrong in that longing for things. Do it. See what it does. But if it seems to not bring you any happiness, then look at this moment and see what that is. What does it do to accept this moment as it is? What does it do for your happiness? And what does it do for all your other feelings that you might have? If you're frustrated a lot in your life, if you feel a lot of lack in your life, What does the acceptance of the present moment do? Does it make more of that or less? Because it can seem like what we're talking about here is some kind of philosophy or some kind of ideas that we're exploring. But I want you to really look. I want you to look at what makes you happy. What makes you in line with what is. And if you find out that doesn't make you happy at all, then fine. Just look. Just see the movement of this moment. See what it is. If you live with this, with presence in every moment, if you accept whatever comes your way as if you have chosen it, what does it do? If you can try for a while to resist everything and really force your ideas on everything and see what it does with your mind. See what separation does. If you observe yourself and you have your ideas of enemies and others and really go into that, see what it does. If you believe that that is going to make you create some kind of safety for you or freedom. And if you're tired of this feeling of separation and feeling frustrated with your efforts in your life, then look at accepting this moment as it is. And not that at some philosophical level we're just trying to hold it on arm's length. This is what I'm doing in my life. And your sadhana can be so many things. It can be really to look at what separation does. And whatever way into it you have, your idea of what, for some people it might be, what is violence? What is it that creates violence? Why does separation, the idea of separation and violence seem so connected? What is the whole idea of others? Why all the ideas that you might have of helping others? What is that? Who is that for? Who are they? And what does it do? Does it create unity or separation when you set yourself in the position of a helper and the other one is a helpee that needs your help? And if they accept that position, what does that relationship create? These are good things to ask yourself. Is the help that I'm doing for others really in benefit of the whole? Or is it just an idea that I like to see myself as the one who is helping and that I'm on the right side of things, doing good and upholding my idea of separateness through that, through identity? And what is real service? All these questions. What is it to really serve? To serve without it being a transaction. What is that? To give not because of the benefit, but because of giving itself is bowing. These qualities are very different. And you can get high on the idea of your own goodness so easily. And even if you, the ego will be there identifying with things, trying to get in, trying to sneak in behind your eyes and being the one. In the memory of you doing something really from the love of your heart, in the memory of that, the ego can sneak in and say, you really did a good thing. You are holier than others. You are great. It can take all these positions, but it's always place with separation. It's always someone else and you, and how you are in relationship to that. And in service there can be so much beauty in just giving because it is needed. But identity can so easily come in. And this is everything. This can seep into everything. The ego can go everywhere if you're not aware of it. It will be the meditator, it will be the helper, it will be the good member of society, it will be all these things. Always trying, always, this is the right idea to have, this is what good people do, da 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 da. And it can create separation. And all you have to do is look. What does it do? What creates peace? What makes the mind still? What makes karma stop? What makes you not want the next and the next and the next? What stops the repetitive patterns of the mind? What creates peace? You can go as far as you can go with your mind. Contemplate on it, question it, write if you need to, whatever way you prefer to look at it. Go until you can no longer use your mind to explore. Go to the end point. You don't have to be a good meditator and just think that I just have to stay as awareness, that is the only right way, I should give up all my philosophical thoughts. No, if you're inclined to do that, go all the way. Go to the end. Go to the wall, where the mind can no longer show you anything of it. And if you're devotionally inclined, you can bow, you can sing, you can dance, you can do all these things. And do it in the name of just giving yourself to the universe. Giving yourself to the whole. Become a sadhak. A sadhak means someone who devotes their life to sadhana. And let everything be sadhana. And it will come natural to you in situations. And people might have views on how you do things. They can say, you are too giving. Why are you spending your time with just doing these things? You're too giving. But you feel there's nothing. This is just what needs to happen. You don't consider yourself giving or non-giving. You just allow it to happen. See what sets the mind free. And all the things that, when you relate to others, that you judge them, or you try to push people away, or You have ideas of how you have to relate to them. All these things that creates very strong them and I sense. See if that serves you. Many people go and hold and feel like they have to protect always. I have to be on my toes, I have to protect, I'm like this. Because people can be like this and that, and they can do nasty things. I have seen it before, and then. But this tension is very, it creates a lot of feeling of separation. Because it is fear. Maybe I'm just saying very obvious things, but most of us are so used to our fears that we just think that they are normal. This is just how we relate to things. Most people would not say that they are very fearful in their lives, but they can still be completely controlled in almost every situation by fear. So it's a very subtle fear. It's not like being afraid of a wild animal or something. It's a very, and you can see it in some people that it gets the expression of anger, that they're almost always angry, for example, because that is one of the expressions of fear. And there is also always this sense of carrying. I don't know if I can explain that. When I met my guru, the sense that I have with him was that he was carrying nothing. And most people, when you look them in the eyes, they're carrying something. They can look happy and smile at you, but they can carry resentment, fear, shame, all these things. That's what I mean by carry. And very few people carry almost nothing. They're taken by their mind, and for them it's probably very subtle. It's just there always. It's like watching the world through colored sunglasses. They always see it in a certain shade. They're afraid to be exploited, so they see everyone as an exploiter. And that's what we call like a psychological backpack. Carrying your emotions, carrying your fears, always. And all my words are just different ways of saying, look, look, look. And if you recognize in this moment fear, heaviness, anything you carry, resentment, anger, whatever it might be, when there is awareness of it, it stops being in the shadows. Because the ego only operates in the shadows. It operates best there. When you just think a thought is normal, identify with it, and continue the pattern. If you allow whatever feeling in to this moment, if there is some space in you, if you can watch this moment as it is, you can invite everything. Some things will feel impossible to invite at first, because they will feel so emotional, they will feel like there's so much scarring and trauma perhaps, or great fears associated with it. But in the invitation of it, you will notice that it is not real. That it's not as lasting as the mind says. It doesn't have that heaviness that you're used to carrying. And since it feels like heaviness, it's so easy to believe. And when it goes, you will say, it was nothing. I carried this for 20 years and it was nothing. Psychological heaviness is not a real thing. It is real from the experiential level. It feels like heaviness. And as long as you believe it, it is there. But also when it leaves, you will see that it was never real. It was just a belief and a fear that could keep this sense of heaviness there. And as soon as it comes into the light of awareness, it will go. And if you have long-lasting patterns with it, it might have to play its course and come again and again before it really leaves. And it's so beautiful that it is like that. It's so easy to have all these ideas of what needs to change, instead of looking at what is. Most people I talk to that are in spirituality have an idea of what they need in order to feel free. They say that they already know, if I just can come past this thing. But do you really know? Or is that just the idea of the end goal of your meditation? And from my experience, I can say I was always surprised by the things. There were things that I didn't believe had any part in your spiritual practice that had a great part in it. It's so easy, you're so biased when it comes to it. You have such strong ideas, and that it can be very, very difficult at looking at this moment and just allowing it. Because as soon as this arrogance sets in that says, I know where I'm going, you're completely lost. And it can feel so scary to be with this moment and just allow it. What is really here? Because I think some part of you also knows that will really expose you. If you're just really with what is, you will notice that, these tendencies that I avoid to at any cost will be exposed on the surface. All my ways of fleeing this moment, all my restlessness, all my ways of distracting myself, as soon as it gets too real. And I understand everyone who feels like if you want to go there, it is a bit crazy. It is not it's not the smooth, nice way of going about things. It is, you really have to know and want to know. And I know I told you before about this crazy wisdom teacher who stands in the river, and his students are up on the shore, and they ask, "Master, how much do we need to want the truth, to really realize it? Come here in the river," the master says. They're a bit hesitant. And after a while, "Okay, but I really want to know." So they go, and as soon as they come close to the master, he pulls them underwater, keeps them there until they almost drown, and then lift them up, and they gasp for air. And he says, "That much." And the reason that those kind of stories exist is because you really have to want to know. And at first, maybe you go into spirituality because you just want to feel better. You just want to feel a bit happier. You might have some anxiety. It would be nice to get rid of it, to come into a more peaceful state. And after a while in it, you notice that it is much more than that. You might feel better, but also that might start to sparking you for something, a search that is much deeper. What is reality? What is truth? What is this moment? What is life? And I understand everyone who comes to that edge and feels like, "Oh shit, I don't want to sign up for this." I understand that also completely. I just want to live my life in a nice way. But even though it might feel really, really scary and might feel overwhelming and big, there's also, but what is really your life? What is the quality of your life? If you notice that your life is mainly different ways of distracting yourself, and I assume that you might be here because you see things like that, then there is only, in a sense, one path. If we're going to be very harsh, you could say there's either this to be distracted of things or to confront. And the clearer that is to you, then you start to feel like, okay, there is no choice. At some point I have to look. And the question is how far can you go in your current state? Are things in your life nice enough? and the feeling of, I can just hold here and I can keep them and I feel all right. Then it feels scary. It feels like you're leaving perhaps your family, people around you, your friends behind. Will they understand you if you don't react to the same things that they react to? That you no longer find the things that your friends find important, you don't find that important anymore. Are you okay with that? And these are the questions that comes with how much do you want to know? And I'm not saying that spirituality is not rewarding. It is in a way. It's just not rewarding to the person. there is no one getting the achievement. And from the ego's point of view, that is terrible. And from beingness, it is the beauty of being. And from the outside, you can seem to have such a simple life and want so little from it. And people can say that seems boring, or not much seems to happen. But when you feel the grace of the moment, it means nothing to you, these things. There is so much beauty in everything, in the most mundane things. And this concept of meditation that to the ego feels like, perhaps at first as a good thing from a self-development point of view, feels like you're getting more peaceful. It's scientifically proven now that if you have a practice every day, these many minutes, you will feel more at peace. You will feel more okay with your life. You will feel better. But on that level, it's really to sell meditation short. It's such a small side effect of it. The beauty of this moment goes so deep and is so it's so beautiful that it is impersonal. That it can just be. And the things are allowed to just happen as they happen, without a doer. They're still getting done, but it's not for someone or by someone. It's just happening. It's so difficult to put into words. It always feels like every description fails. It sounds like a thing, sounds like an experience, like an idea. And when it's taken like that, it becomes so small. Even if you put all your hope in it, it's still so small. It's just an idea. And as an idea, it can so easily be given up. You can feel, if you put your hope in an idea, you can also put your hopelessness in that same idea. But it's not about ideas. Or maybe it is for you. But you have to look at it and see what happens. I think there are many people who say that they're on a spiritual path that is just another way of having hope for a better life. And the whole idea of it is just to keep hope for the future. I don't blame anyone for that, but it's just very easy that that happens. And that means that you start to protect your idea. If someone would say, I don't believe in meditation, that's bullshit. But you have to really understand what it does. You feel like you have to defend it. You feel like you have to be someone with it. But if you live meditation, then it doesn't matter. Someone can say, meditation doesn't work. Okay. Or they can say, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And you will be, okay. It doesn't matter because you lived it. All people you come in touch with can say that it is the most toxic thing and that it's terrible what it does to the world. And you will say, okay. Because it is not like that. It's not on the plane of ideas. It is lived beingness. So it doesn't go if you don't believe in it or if you feel hopeless about it. The hopelessness still happens in awareness. If you say, I'm done with this shit, I never want to touch meditation again, that thought still happens in this moment. It still happens in awareness. Whatever, and you will always have to relate to these things. Expectations of the future and identifying with them will still create the same thing if you go to meditation groups or don't. So why not look at it? It is here. You know about it. If you listen to me, you listen to many hours about it. And it's a difficult subject to be honest about. Because it's so easy to have an idea of where you are in relationship to the subject. And the most common is that you think that you have understood much more of it than that you have. your sadhana can be so many things. And it can feel confusing because of that. Because it can feel like there's so many things to practice. Even if you just move in like where we talk, am I going, okay, do I need to be more anchored with my breath? Do I need to do more mantra meditations? Do I need to do silent sitting and just be aware of what is? You understand? It's so easy to feel like, what exactly am I doing in it? And how do I know that I'm ready for inquiry? All these things. And when you try them, they will show you. If you start to inquire, if you contemplate on what is happiness, what is freedom, what is violence, all these things that we talked about, you contemplate on it, you dwell with it, you try to reason with it, all these questions that you have, and you might come to a point where you feel, I have to inquire into the one who is trying. And you notice that your mind is completely full of thoughts. There's no space anywhere. It's just all the time, jumping from one thing to the next. Okay? Then maybe it's very, very difficult to do your inquiry. Maybe you need to express. Maybe you need to move your body to just get some sense of calm. And then you can sit. I don't want to give you a set of a certain way of doing it, because the best way is if you find out. And if you start to do your sadhana, it will always show you. It will show you what you lack. If you worry all the time, it means that you lack faith. If you don't trust and you cannot surrender to anything, that means that there is a lot of fear quite prevalent on the surface. All these things, sadhana shows everything. It's the beauty of it. And if you come back to it, you will also notice where you are and what you are taken by the mind. You come to the same space again and again. You do the same thing again and again, and you notice, oh, I'm agitated today. There's subtle anger. There's this. You will notice through your sadhana. It's very good to come back to it. Because it's so easy in your life to just parry everything. You react to everything and you parry it and you keep it under wraps in some way. You keep yourself in a nice bubble. But if you do your sadhana and you do it whether you like it or not, you will see what is there. Suddenly you can see the things that are usually hidden. That gets hidden in your interactions. That gets hidden in your daily life. And at first, the sadhana may be challenging if the mind is just full of thoughts. And the more there is a relaxation of that, the more you can invite the experience, the easier it gets. And it gets its own momentum, you could say, because it is a natural thing in us. So it would just come, after a while, it would just come to you. It would feel like you don't have to do the meditation, it just comes. Okay. Any questions on sadhana before we sing? No? He he Govinda, he he Gopala, he he Govinda, he he Gopala, he Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, Shri Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe 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 Shama, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He He Govinda, He He Gopala, He Vasudeva, He Nityananda, He Vasudeva, Nityananda Shri Radhe 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 Shama Shri Radhe 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 Shama Hey Hey Govinda Hey Hey Gopala Hey Govinda Hey Hey Gopala. May everyone find trust and peace. And the openness to allow grace to show the way. Find their way home to the natural surrendering into the present moment and into beingness itself. Thank you. Very good. Love you all.